practicing a religion, and that religion is known as Nichiren Buddhism.
Nichiren Buddhism, Christianity, Evangelist, Hinduism, Hare Krishna. Currently, I don't practice any religion. That's because I take knowledge from each of the practices that I've learned.
I was born Catholic, baptized Catholic, but at this point of time, I'm pretty doubtful of Catholicism. If anything, I consider myself agnostic right now.
I'm Jewish, and guess I've been practicing since I was born. It's just kind of something I grew up with.
I was born to a Christian father and a Jewish mother.
My mother introduced this religion to me. I hold on to this religion very strongly because of my personal experience with this religion.
Basically, I was raised with a particular religion. I'm born Buddhist. However, I just feel it's not for me as of this moment.
I identify a lot more with the Jewish ones, though. But as far as actually practicing any religion, I'm definitely an atheist, and I've been a practicing atheist since about middle school.
I think religion works for some people.
I wasn't very strong in practicing this religion. I didn't like the idea of practicing a religion. I find it very tedious because I had nothing to worry about.
I say I'm agnostic because I feel like if there is a God out there, he's not a very good God, because otherwise there's so many people dying for not as great reasons.
I don't think there's anything particularly good or bad about it. I think it just depends how you personally take it. I mean, I didn't grow up in a particularly religious household, so it was never really that big a deal for me. We celebrated like the really big holidays, but you know, some people get a little fanatic about it, and that's maybe a little too extreme for me. So I don't know, but they have their reasons, and it does a lot of good things. You know, there are a lot of charities that come out of it, and you know, it gives people something to believe in, which I think is really good.
I've doubted this religion before.
I don't believe in any religious tradition to be true.
Buddhism, because when they say their way is the only correct way, and if you only believe in that, then you can sort of be happy, and that's the only way to become happy. So I didn't like that, so I was like, moving on. Christianity, Evangelist, yes, because they also say their way is the only right way, and if you don't believe in them, you go to hell. So moving on. Hinduism, Hare Krishna. I don't know. I guess I don't really doubt it, but I don't practice it that much. But yeah, I have to think about it.
I think I've been doubting Catholicism all my life, but I never really
I managed to encounter the worst part of my life, which is to be diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 8. And arthritis is a disease where you can't really cure because it's like an immune disease, and there's not much treatment towards it. But my mother was practicing this faith, and she grew on really strong towards this faith, and finally we could find like a doctor that could provide us treatment. And back then, like in 2001, like there wasn't much treatment. Through this faith, my mother practiced so hard that she prayed that we could get better good fortune to meet a good doctor that could prescribe something that's more suitable for my health. And finally we did meet a doctor, and that really strengthened my faith.
It was March of 2013 actually. I went to a mega church. I knew only Buddhism, so I wanted to really look at what are the differences and similarities and really compare Buddhism to Christianity. So I actually got baptized.
I was brought up Jewish, but I'm technically not Jewish because my mom isn't Jewish. She was brought up Catholic, but she kind of dropped the religion as soon as she left her parents' house. But my dad was brought up Jewish, and they just kind of agreed that's how they were going to raise us. But like I said, I wasn't really brought up super religious, so I was never restricted to doing anything except for like getting tattoos or dyeing my hair crazy colors, which I dyed my hair anyway. But I never really wondered how other religions work because my parents were super open about it. I mean, I've been to church more times than I've been to a synagogue, and I've taken classes on Islam, and just grew up in a very multicultural area, so it was never really a big issue to me. Nobody really cared that I was Jewish, and I never really cared that anybody else was any other religion.
I stopped practicing right before I came to Soka, so when I was 18. It was actually right when I had my confirmation.
In the summer, I got into Hinduism.
I've participated in different Jewish traditions. I've gone to temple. Still don't believe in that at all. I've gone to church with my dad and with other members of my dad's family. I still find it just as crazy. I tried out SGI Buddhism when I got to Soka, and it was cool up to the point that there were faith-based aspects that I just couldn't accept and refused to accept. Anytime that I'm told to accept something as a grounding to base everything off of, I ask, why do we start there?
I definitely think my nationality had an influence of how I think about Catholicism today, and in the past as well, because the reason why I wasn't as forward with what I was going to do with my doubt back then was because everyone in the Filipino community around me was like, oh yeah, like God is the best, God will take care of everything in life, and I was just like, never really noticed God do anything for me. And if something did happen, it was because of my own mobility or my mom's support.
Growing up as a Taiwanese in Taiwan, and imagining myself in that culture, mainly Buddhist culture, I feel it does have influence.
I think because my parents brought me up in such an open household where, there was no right or wrong way to practice your religion, it gave me a very open mindset to what people do.
I grew up in a primarily Mormon community, which mostly just led me to dislike Mormonism. My dad's side of the family is very, very Protestant, Southern Baptist to be exact. And just being around them drives me crazy because I can't accept things on their level, and they have a drastically different worldview than I do. I don't think that these different influences from within my circles of connections have altered my view towards accepting any religion, much more so altered my views more against.
I come from Malaysia, and Malaysia is a country that is very strongly Muslim influenced because it's an Islamic country. And since I'm a Malaysian and I don't really practice Muslim, so I see like a contradictory there, showing that I don't practice my national religion.
But currently I'm a U.S. citizen, so I consider myself like Taiwanese-American, so most likely American. However, because it's a Christian nation, I don't think I'm a pure Buddhist anymore. I have my own kind of belief regarding how I grew up into my belief system.
But I think growing up in a different environment would give you a very different outlook on religion and just life in general, because if I grew up in a very conservative Jewish household, there are a lot of things I wouldn't have been allowed to do. There are a lot of people I wouldn't have been allowed to hang out with. I probably wouldn't have gone to public school. I probably would have gone to, a yeshiva and only interacted with people of my own religion. And would have grown up very, very different and with different ideas onto how other people celebrate and whether they were just right or wrong as human beings.
I don't think I might be persuaded to join another religion because I have developed a very strong faith in this Nichiren Buddhism.
Lived in the Philippines, for example, where everyone was Catholic and everyone believed in the same thing for the most part, and there's a small percentage of Muslims or Buddhists. I probably would try to force myself more to be more Catholic and try to see if I could still contact God.
Sometimes it gets a little difficult when I'm talking to Zionists who really feel very strongly about the state of Israel, and I totally disagree with the state of Israel, so sometimes that gets a little awkward because they, turn against you and they're kind of like, you're not, supporting your people, and it's hard to explain that I don't feel like the Jews are necessarily a people, but rather we all belong to one human race.
I might not be the strong me today. I could be a depressed me. I don't know, my fate, my future, if I were to take a different route, I don't know what it's gonna be like. And I really like my current life now, and I would not regret practicing this religion or regret not taking another path.
I definitely practice different Jewish traditions, such as lighting the Hanukkah candles, fasting, and other holidays that I celebrate with my family. But as far as I'm concerned, I consider those mostly ethnic holidays as opposed to religious holidays.
I have never really felt boxed in by my religion.
So religion, I believe, was, and I don't think it applies any longer in our current day, but it was a way of control of people and how they think, because people were more willing to kind of follow and not really have their own identity or individuality before.
Religion gives a good moral background for people to know that like killing is not a good thing and that you should try to live a happy life.
Nowadays, I see religion more as a way for enlightenment and for people to become happy and to find kind of a belonging, a community.
It's okay, it's a dialogue and that's important. So I think any restrictions that people place on themselves through religion is more just a social construct that they've decided that they want to abide by, not something that they have to abide by.
As an outsider looking in, religion seems to be a set of beliefs that make the world make sense when it otherwise wouldn't, a set of practices that tie together a community, and an identity that's to some extent stacked against other identities. It's something that provides a firm grounding in a world that often lacks those. So it's, I believe, a safety net.
I definitely see religion more as one's own growth, and nobody should be telling other people what to believe in, judging them for not believing in God, for example, because I think that's how words are created. So my philosophy or my beliefs are more Buddhist, and so when people ask me, I would immediately say, oh, I'm Buddhist. And it's very interesting, people kind of can tell. I think from how I present myself, where like sort of like I'm kind of a peaceful guy, people kind of assume, and I'm Asian, so Chinese looking.
It's a nice thing to celebrate. I enjoy getting together with my family and celebrating Hanukkah and listening to all the stories, and it is a kind of a nice community builder, because when I go somewhere and if somebody goes, oh, you have a really Jewish last name, and I'm like, yeah, I am, and they're like, oh, we're Jewish too, and that's kind of cool because it's something that we share that, I might not otherwise have too much in common with these people, so it's kind of fun.
Religion should be judged by personal basis. Sometimes I see flaws in my religion, and sometimes I see the benefit in practicing this religion. And seems like there's the flaw and the benefits balancing one another. I don't see like it being the best religion among all religions.
I truly do not believe one is superior to the other. However, I'm very turned off by the fact that one religion claims that they are better to the other. I think they're the ones that we have to really be careful and watch out for terrible things to go down the road.
Any religious adherent will tell you that their religion is better than the others, but as far as I've seen, there's no one religion that offers any kind of truth claim that can actually be verified.
None of them are better. They are all equal, but some you just gotta be careful. Their message, you can't even say they're like lesser, because then obviously one is better than the other. If you're like, they're equal, but some are not as good, but then that means the other is superior. So it's a very tricky question. It's a very good question, but I truly do not believe that any religion is superior to one another. I really like religions with music and with a lot of dancing, especially like gospel music or soul music. I feel different.
I don't think I depend on it at all. I think it's more just something nice it's there, and it's, like I said, I do it more because I like the traditions and the family connections it makes and the stories and everything. That's all kind of fun.
Another reason why I'm agnostic, since I never really had that close relationship and nothing really called out to me saying like, Joy, I'm here, or Jocelyn, I'm here.
I do not depend on a certain religion, and I do not have to follow what maybe the people within the religion say I have to do.
I feel like this religion is very powerful and really gives me assurance and promising life that I could overcome.
With monotheistic faiths, you require a God, and without a God, none of it makes sense. If you deny that basic premise, nothing can follow.
You can say I sort of created my own religion in a way by drawing different knowledges and wisdom from all these various religions that I've practiced.